welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into the future of New York City leadership, looking specifically at the NYC mayoral timeline, starting around now, July 2025, and stretching right through to the end of 2026. Yeah, our goal here for this deep dive is basically to pull together the key stuff from, well, a whole stack of sources, articles, some research, our notes, and give you a clear, kind of concise picture of what's going on. We're looking at the election itself, the political currents underneath, and even some pretty plausible ideas about what the next mayor's first year might look like. It's all to help you get really up to speed.
Exactly. And what's really interesting, I think, is how we're blending the current political facts, the data we have now, with these forward-looking projections. It's not just looking back. It's trying to grasp the forces that could shape what happens next. It's sort of a shortcut, really, through a very complicated scene.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's start with the road to the general election, thinking about July through November 2025. You got to consider the landscape right now, right? You have the incumbent, Eric Adams. He's running again. But interestingly, as an independent, he pulled out of the Democratic primary, back in April 25?
Yeah, that was after those federal corruption charges against him got dismissed in February. A pretty quick turnaround.
Right, and then the primary itself. Big news there.
Oh, absolutely huge. June 24th, 2025, that was the date.
Yeah.
Democratic Socialist State Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani. He beat former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Nobody really saw that coming, I think. It definitely shook things up.
For sure. A major upset. So fast forward to the general election, November 4th, 2025.
Yeah.
The lineup now is, well, it's Mamdani for the Democrats, Adams is an independent, Republican Curtis Sliwa is in the mix, and another independent, Jim Walden.
And don't forget the Cuomo factor.
Right.
He might still jump in as an independent on that fight and deliver ticket, even though he missed a deadline to formally withdraw earlier. Adds a whole other wrinkle.
So how does this all play out campaign-wise?
Well, the big thing to remember is this general election, it's just straight plurality wins, whoever gets the most votes.
Unlike the primary.
Exactly. No ranked choice voting this time. So Mamdani, he's got the advantage on paper, right? Strong progressive base, NYC is heavily Democratic.
Seems like the favorite.
He does.
Yeah.
But Adams still pulls from the center. And Sliwa, he's got his dedicated base focused on public safety.
Could they split the vote enough?
That's the question. And Walden, with his anti-corruption message, plus Cuomo if he runs, they could siphon off moderate votes too. It might end up being much, much closer than you'd initially think.
And the issues driving this are pretty distinct for each candidate. Mamdani's all about affordability, right?
Absolutely. Rent freezes, talking about free buses, even city-owned grocery stores. Very progressive stuff.
Yeah, getting backing from AOC, Bernie Sanders.
That camp? Then you have Adams. He's pointing to his record. Crime reduction, housing.
Even though his approval ratings were, well, pretty low back in late 2024, like 26% or something.
Yeah, that's a hurdle for him. Then Sliwa. He's targeting conservatives. Very strong anti-migrant rhetoric.
And Walden?
He's criticizing things like congestion pricing, the old vaccine mandates, trying to carve out that lane.
And there's this other layer, too. The Middle East conflict.
Oh, definitely. That's playing a role. Mamdani's pro-Palestinian stance has caused quite a bit of controversy.
And Cuomo's positioned himself as strongly pro-Israel, trying to draw that contrast.
Right. Creates another dynamic entirely.
So the campaign itself, I mean, knowing New York.
It's going to be intense.
Absolutely. Expect some viral moments, a debate gaffe maybe, or a protest that just blows up on X or whatever we're calling it then.
Probably. You know how it goes.
And I could just picture, like, some street performer in Times Square doing impressions of all of them, capturing that kind of chaotic energy.
That sounds about right for an NYC election.
So after all that heat, we get to Election Day, November 4th. 2025.
The day itself, what happens then?
Well, polls are open, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Standard stuff. And like we said, no ranked choice, simple plurality. Most votes wins. That's it.
Okay, so what swings it? What are the key factors on the day? Well, Mamdani's progressive base, plus the sheer number of Democrats in the city. That's his big advantage, structurally.
Makes sense.
But again, that split vote scenario among the moderates, Adams, Cuomo if he runs, Walden. If they slice it up too much,
it gets tight.
It could get very tight. And turnout is key. Could we see more than the 1.1 million who voted in the June primary?
Possibly. With the World Cup hype building, maybe? National attention?
Could be. Yeah, the sources we looked at lean towards a Mamdani win, which would be historic, right? First Muslim mayor, first Indian-American mayor, and only 33 years old.
Wow, yeah. But there are other possibilities, right? Wild cards.
Always. Like, what if turnout is really low? That might actually help Adams if the moderates who do show up kind of rally around him.
Yeah.
Or think about a last-minute bombshell endorsement, a big celebrity, maybe even someone like Michael Bloomberg weighing in, could sway those undecideds right at the end.
You never know. Okay, let's jump ahead. Assume the election happens, someone wins. January 1st, 2026. New mayor gets sworn in. 12:01 a.m.
Midnight ceremony. Classic New York.
Where would that likely happen?
Yeah.
City Hall, Brooklyn Bridge Park, maybe?
Probably one of those. Yeah, City Hall's traditional. Brooklyn Bridge Park offers those great visuals. It depends on the message they want to send.
And the tone would be different depending on who wins, obviously.
Absolutely. If it's Mamdani, you'd expect something youthful, maybe more focus on inclusivity, diverse performers, a real forward-looking vibe.
And if Adams gets reelected?
Probably more emphasis on unity, maybe resilience, continuing the work. Likely a strong focus on public safety, economic recovery themes.
Okay, so they're in office day one, first few weeks. What are the immediate actions we might see?
Well, if it is Mamdani, he'd likely want some quick policy wins to show momentum.
Like the rent freeze.
Possibly, yeah. A rent freeze for stabilized units seems plausible. Maybe piloting free buses, though.
That MTA control issue is always there, isn't it?
Yeah.
State versus city.
Always. Makes things like city-run free buses really complicated. It's a political fight as much as a policy one.
And if Adams wins again?
Probably more of the same focus. Doubling down on initiatives like the trash containerization, maybe pushing harder on NYPD recruitment, things he's already known for.
And Sliwa. If he pulls off the massive upset.
His big pledge was rehiring unvaccinated city workers. You'd expect that to be right at the top of his list.
Now, here's a fun thought. Given what's coming in 2026.
The World Cup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could we see, like, a soccer theme at the inauguration? The new mayor kicks a ceremonial ball or something, tying into the host city role right away.
That would be very NYC, wouldn't it? Lean into the hype. It's plausible.
So that first half of 2026, January to July,
Yeah.
it's going to be dominated by these huge events.
Okay. Absolutely dominated. First, obviously the World Cup prep. It's massive. MetLife Stadium hosting 8 games, including the final on July 19th. That's huge.
The mayor's going to be front and center for all that.
Completely. Coordinating logistics, security, promoting the city globally. You'll see fan zones everywhere. Times Square, Flushing Meadows. The mayor will be hosting presidents, prime ministers, all sorts of dignitaries. Big global spotlight.
Any potential bumps in the road there?
Well, one thing mentioned in some sources, security. If Mamdani wins and pursues certain progressive policies, there are these claims floating around about potential NYPD resignations.
Oh, right. I saw a number like 40% somewhere.
Yeah, that number seems, let's say, highly speculative, likely exaggerated. But the debate about security, staffing levels, that could definitely flare up, especially with the World Cup pressure. Needs careful watching.
Okay, so World Cup is one massive thing. What's the other?
The U.S. 250th anniversary, the semi-quincentennial, July 4th, 2026.
Right. 250 years since the Declaration of Independence, NYC has to play a big role.
A central role, parades, fireworks, historical exhibits, maybe even using tech like augmented reality to show Revolutionary War scenes. Could be cool.
And again, the mayor's approach would differ.
You'd imagine so. Mamdani might use it to highlight diverse histories, inclusivity. Adams might focus more on patriotism, unity, the city's strength over centuries.
So huge opportunities, but also big challenges right out of the gate.
Definitely immediate challenges. Balancing the World Cup budget, those things get expensive. Still dealing with housing affordability, which won't go away. And navigating whatever's happening with the federal government, especially if it's a second Trump administration. Policies could shift fast.
And any slip up.
Could blow up. Yeah, a World Cup protest that gets out of hand, a big fight over the budget, could easily become a defining viral moment for the new mayor, good or bad.
Okay, so let's look past July 2026, the second half of the year. The mayor's starting to settle in more. How does the agenda start to really take shape?
Well, if it's Mamdani, maybe this is when he tries to launch those bigger pilot programs, like the city-owned grocery stores concept or pushing for universal childcare.
But those would face hurdles. Funding, city council.
Oh, for sure. Big funding fights with the city council seem almost inevitable for ambitious programs like that.
And if it's Adams?
Likely continuing his focus more on infrastructure projects, maybe trying different public safety tactics, building on his first term.
And Sliwa, still facing headwinds.
Absolutely. If he won, he'd likely spend this period fighting constant pushback from the city council, from advocates. Enacting conservative policies in NYC is an uphill battle, to say the least.
Beyond policy, what about the sort of cultural impact the mayor makes in this period?
That's really interesting, leading the city through the World Cup final and the 250th anniversary. That's going to cement their image one way or another.
Right, how they handle those moments matters.
Immensely. And here's a prediction. Maybe the mayor launches some kind of signature event after the World Cup dust settles, like a NYC Unity Festival or something. Something blending the global excitement with local culture. Imagine that taking off on social media. Could be a real legacy piece.
Economically speaking, though, the World Cup and the 250th, those have got to be good for the city, right? Tourism, revenue.
Generally, yes. Huge potential boost for tourism, hotels, restaurants. Lots of money flowing in. Should be a net positive for the economy.
But there's always a but.
Always a counterpoint. What about cost overruns? Who pays if things go way over budget? And what about the impact on neighborhoods hosting major events or fan zones? Concerns about gentrification, displacement? Those could easily fuel protests.
And how the mayor handles that side of it.
Exactly. Balancing the economic boon with social equity concerns, that response will be a big part of their legacy for 2026.
Okay, wrapping up 2026. Any final fun speculations or wild cards for the end of that year?
Well, you could see a purely symbolic thing become huge. Like the mayor gets a selfie with the World Cup winning captain, and it just goes everywhere.
Or announces some quirky, fun policy during the celebrations, like free pretzels for fans.
Exactly. Something that captures the mood. But for a real wild card,
Uh-huh.
what if by late 2026, someone totally unexpected announces they're running for mayor in 2029? Like a big-name celebrity or some tech billionaire.
Stealing all the headlines right at the end of the year.
Totally possible. Keeps the political cycle churning.
Wow. So putting it all together, it's just an incredibly packed, really dynamic timeline for whoever becomes NYC's next mayor. From this intense election coming up, navigating that whole landscape, then bam, straight onto the world stage of the World Cup, and then the nation's 250th anniversary right after.
It's a whirlwind. And understanding all these pieces, the politics, the social issues, these huge events, that's really the value of doing this kind of deep dive. You start to see how policy ideas and public feeling and these massive global moments all connect and influence each other.
It really paints a picture. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Thinking about this whole timeline, all the things we've discussed, what unexpected challenge or maybe what surprise opportunity do you think will ultimately define the legacy of NYC's next mayor by the time 2026 wraps up? And maybe more broadly, how much of a mayor's fate is really in their own hands versus just being shaped by these huge global tides? Something to consider. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.